Welcome, I'm Antonina Antosha and you are watching Head to Head with UATV. An international arbitration court in The Hague has held hearings in the case brought by Ukraine over Russia's violations of the rights to coastal waters in the Black Sea, Sea of Azov and the Kerch Strait. Russian representatives tried to convince the judges the case does not fall under The Hague's jurisdiction, while Ukraine is asking the tribunal to enforce its maritime rights by ordering the Russian Federation to cease its internationally wrongful actions in the relevant waters. To talk more about this, we welcome to the studio today Professor Borys Babin. He's a chief research consultant at the Institute of Legislation of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. So hello and thank you for coming.
Good day.
How would you explain the fact that Russia tried to convince the arbitrational court that it does not, that the case that is being reviewed between Russia and Ukraine does not fall under its jurisdiction? Is it because they could foresee that they will lose?
Well, it's an usual position of Russia in all international proceedings to avoid the hearing of the case for the matter and for merits, as such hearing in any way will be very poisonous for Russian international relations, as we clearly proving that Russia violates brutally the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea by different ways, by illegal pressure on Ukrainian trade shipping in the Kerch Strait, in Azov port, and all the Black Sea executive economic zone and territorial waters of Ukraine, also as illegal control over the Ukrainian platforms excavating oil and gas from the continental shelf of Ukraine, and now such illegal excavated gas and oil as a ground of economic system of Crimea, illegally attempted to annex by Russian Federation, and such energetic sources are the key source for electric producing in Crimea, including two new electro plants with Siemens turbines. And third, Russia also not only control such platforms and trade shipping, but also militarize the spaces and objects in this area, as all those platforms are controlled by Russian Navy and special service units. They use the systems of intelligence, of missiles located on those platforms, and we may constant that Russia de facto occupied the maritime spaces, de facto controls shipping in these spaces, and may use the trade blockade for all Ukrainian ports, not only for Azov ports that are now devoted to the situation related to the situation with the Kerch Strait and illegal pressure on Ukrainian ships and other ships going to Ukrainian ports, but in all Black Sea space, including Odessa and Mykolaiv, Kherson, etc.
That was a very detailed answer, and now we will take a listen to high officials, what they think of the situation in The Hague. Let's take a listen.
We were surprised that Russia allowed itself to act with such disdain towards the judges, having noted that the ruling in Hamburg in favor of Ukraine had no basis. That sort of behavior is not expected from one side in a court case. I'm not sure how this will influence the judges' decision, but taking into account the fact that Russia did not show up at the time to the court, and now they're saying that they do not agree with that ruling, this is not acceptable.
Could you dwell on the comment of Olena Zerkal?
Well, I think the common position of Ukraine is grounded, and we should expect this for decision of this arbitrary tribunal. Anyway, other proceedings are ongoing, including special proceeding related to the Kerch incident, when Russian police vessels captured Ukrainian Navy ships and their crews. Also, we have some other incident, including illegal piracy act, we may name them so, when Russian police vessels arrested, detained and convoyed to Crimea some fishery vessel from the mainland of Ukraine, and their crews were in places of non-freedom in Crimea for half a year and were released only in 5 days or 2 months ago for different cases. And it is devoted not only for some fishermen or maybe Navy officers and their families, but this shows all the situation in the region. This shows all of Ukrainian economic and social relations connected with the maritime business and fishery and trade ports and other branches now are in the very actual danger of Russian aggression. And this case is absolutely unacceptable for the world legal order, as you may point that freedom of navigation and right of peaceful usage of all maritime spaces are the basic principles of international relations. And if Russian Federation brutally violates such principles, as minimum, this state will get the same problems in their own waters and with its own ships.
What kind of a response should we expect from the international community in response to Russia's aggression in the maritime?
As for me, the key response is sanction policy in different areas, including sanctions against key Russian ship-owning and crewing agencies, also including Russia-recognized societies like Russian Maritime Register and Russian River Register of Shipping, as those enterprises are important for Russian economy and they have branches in many civilized nations, maritime districts and cities. And coherent sanctions will make a direct influence against Russian economy. And other issue is freedom of tubes, underwater tubes, including gas pipelines and oil pipelines. It is also guaranteed by the same convention. And this convention now is violated by Russia. So we may wait from our partners to enforce sanction policy against all Russian maritime business, including maritime pipelines.
Well, business is not the only thing that is suffering. People are suffering. What about the 24 Ukrainian sailors captured by Russian police
We have
vessels?
the direct decision of tribunal in Hamburg to release them without any conditions, and we are absolutely not interested in internal Russian proceeding related to such release. They should do it before 25th of June. We have 1 week left. And other hostages of Russia, for example, groups of fishermen were released by Russia during last months. So we expect that our naval crews will be released. We expect from Russia to release also their vessels, as they are now located in the occupied Kerch and they are damaged. And anyway, we need to revise them and understand the volume of damage and to demand the compensation, as the arbitrary proceeding foresees not only freedom for persons and getting our vessels back, it foresees the compensation for all these illegal actions. I hope these numbers will be appointed by the tribunal and by the arbitrary arbiters, and we will prove the Russian illegal policy in maritime relations to all civilized nations.
Well, hopefully this is going to happen. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
That was Professor Borys Babin. He's a chief research consultant at the Institute of Legislation of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.